Hello, peace and greetings. I am Bella, and this is the new True Crime Reading channel. Email's there in case you want to send me any reading requests, and so is the Cash App at Readings by Bella for the energy and the time I take to put into these cases. We want to get the information out there. We want to keep the conversation going with these folks. So please do donate. Please do send request and share the videos, like them, and subscribe. Also, check the description area because there may be like news clippings or anything that I needed to add, or the pinned comments. Thank you. Take care, guys. This reading is for Hayden Manis, the little boy from Muncie, Indiana, that's believed to have been missing for 5 years. So, in this Kipper spread, it indicates that there was definitely some issues with the house. Because initially, I was wondering, this was not like a psychic impression, but when I first heard of this case, I thought, well, the baby probably got into the father's drugs and had an overdose, and then the father just got rid of his body. So I thought that that was the first thing because that's happened before. It's happened many times actually, where children, accessed substances and it killed them. But so as I was doing this spread, I saw Hayden's face underwater, and the water was clear. So I feel like it was like a bathtub, because I was wondering, well, did he drown? Is this like a case of neglect where, maybe they were out somewhere and he drowned? Maybe the father was on a bender, drunk or whatever, and the baby got into the water and drowned, but the water was clear, so I feel like it's a bathtub. And so with Thief House, unexpected income change, and then the baby, and then the coffin, high honors, message of concern, that tells me that's when law enforcement got involved. So I'm wondering how long after he actually went missing did the police get involved. Now, the police are saying he's been missing, there's been no contact for 5 years, but what if he just went missing in 2024? Actually, whatever happened to him in 2024 instead of 5 years ago. So it could have been recent or maybe not. So I'm going to continue to draw, but this was the first spread. And again, he showed me his face. He showed me him underwater as if he drowned or somebody drowned him. And again, the water was clear, the water that would come out of a bathtub. So I feel like he was drowned in a bathtub, possibly. So in this spread, we see the Ten of Cups, the Sun, and then we see some battling and some perseverance in the Lovers. We also see some success, the Magician, and overcoming. This is interpreting, in overcoming, rejoicing, and again some power, some energy with the Ace of Wands and the King of Wands. And for some reason, I don't see a Six of Cups here. I don't see anything indicating that his joy is centered around his child. I see the Lovers. So, what's concerning to me with this is that he seemed, again, more centered on a relationship, on a romantic situation. I think he had worthiness issues. And a lot of times when you're dealing with that kind of dysfunction, it stems from something that happened earlier in life to him. I feel like, personally, what I got from seeing his pictures and the videos, he went through something that nobody is talking about. We haven't heard any mention of his mother. Anybody that gets on drugs like that, is has dealt or experienced or seen some things, and I believe like he suffered. And I'm talking about Dustin, the father. I believe that Dustin suffered some trauma that no one is willing to talk about or even acknowledge. So when you see someone that's willing to throw everything at a relationship, and yes, I'm interpreting this as this is somebody, whoever he's throwing his energy at and his efforts at is towards a female and not his child. That's what I'm getting from this. And there's a certain amount of escapism that is sought through relationships. It's a way to shadow yourself behind somebody, or that relationship can act as a beard for things that you can't get past. So a lot of times people hide in relationships. They hide from their own shadow, or they hide from their own trauma. And it's kind of like a quick and easy fix. But, could have been at the expense of Hayden. So in this spread, we see some perseverance. We see looking out into the horizon, maybe trying to make some plans or something, and then finding some discontentment, some confusion, some frustration. It's like there was a battle there. It's like I'm glad that I'm proud that I have this. I have a home. I have a relationship. But then there's discontentment. It's like something is not fitting perfectly, into the puzzle for him, for Dustin. So he's like, contemplating, and then we see him with the Two of Pentacles trying to like make a decision or decide or juggle, what we're seeing is happiness, and he's finding that he can't do that. He's trying to juggle, the Ten of Cups, which represents, completion, happiness. But we're finding that he feels like he can't do that. He can't do that. And there's an Empress at the helm of it. So again, it's like I feel like there was a lot going on with him mentally, and he was trying to justify or like compensate, if you will. Like he was trying to bargain or something. There was some conflicts going on, and it felt like it had a lot to do with his son. I feel like he wanted his son with him for a reason. Maybe he felt like his son wasn't safe anywhere else. And even though he was on drugs, and dealing with what he was dealing with, he still wanted his son with him because he wanted control over what was happening with his son. Again, that's telling. That's very telling. Because most people who struggle with drugs, if there's an option for their children to be somewhere else with family, a lot of times they let the children go, right? So that they can run around doing whatever the hell they want to do. But clearly he wanted Hayden in his life, and he was adamant about having that level of control. Probably wasn't about the baby. Maybe it was at one point, but down the road, it was probably more about having the control to have his son over other relatives having his son. You know what I mean? And this thing with him, like battling with trying to like figure out like the balance. You know what I mean? Like what was more important? What was more important? Is this Empress more important? The relationship was more important? And that's, to me, that looks like that's where his struggle was in the spread. So this is what I got. He was drowned. They came to my home, gave a location, acknowledged grandparents' secrets and lies, which I will touch on after the next spread. Says he was sold. That did cross my mind before, like I said, I got any impressions. Because anytime you're dealing with drug addicts, the things they'll do to their kids for money, is just unconscionable. Okay, guys, so this is this one here. And then I'll show you the other cards that didn't fit on this one, and then we'll talk. Okay, so here we have in the water, manhole underground in the woods, southeast. So we did see the Florida Panhandle card, so I think that's connected. Miscommunication at the end. I was wronged by a female. North abducted cover-up, and then it says stabbed and eaten by cannibal, which I know is a bit off, but if he was indeed sold, there is this ritual that they do with water. And when I say they, I'm referring to people that buy innocence and they perform rituals. There is this water ritual that they do. Because when I saw him, his eyes were open and it's like he was alive, but he was being submerged to drown, right? To drown. So I think very much that that's connected. The whole water element, and then this thing with like pedivores, because he was considerably young. This could be a lot deeper and darker than what we know or what we're even thinking. So what it looks like to me, it looks like he may have been sold. Now, the tarot spread tells me that it looks like Dustin was more interested in appeasing a female or appeasing a relationship. And whatever he was doing, like for work or for money, if he was doing something dirty, something happened, money was missing or whatever. And I feel like, because you get the thief house, change in expenses or change in income. I think that either he was told to offer up something for payment or he was forced to, because when I asked the cards, I said, well, who did this to you? Speaking to Hayden, and I thought I was going to get the dad card and I didn't. And there was another card that said something about that's another thing I got to tell you guys. He showed me the baby. Hayden showed me that it was at night. He's showing me at night. He's crying hysterically and he's being led out, maybe like his bedroom, by his father. And he's crying because he thinks he's in trouble, but he knows he didn't do anything. So, I think he feels like his dad would have never came and got him in the middle of the night. So he's assuming that he's in trouble. So he's crying, and I mean crying, and he's terrified. And I just see his father like pulling him by the hand and bringing him out into the living room. So he shows me that, but I saw that after he showed me being submerged in water. So is it possible that the father brought him out to the living room to whoever this was he was selling him to, and that sort of thing? So I'm going to continue to work with this. I'm going to continue to work with this story, and if I get anything, I'll definitely be back to make a video. But there's so much more I want to touch on with the spread. And also Dustin too, because I gotta wonder, normally people, and this isn't in all cases, but a lot of times when people are on drugs, they're covering something up. And when I looked at the story that WTHR did, it's like an 8-minute segment. I'm looking at the video of Dustin at the Christmas party. The energy I'm getting is weird. I'm also getting energy from others that I think there's something. I think Dustin may have been the victim of something, of maybe a history or a legacy of abuse. Because in the tarot cards, I can see that he really wanted to have like a good family situation, but he probably didn't feel worthy enough to be with a woman, so he felt like maybe he needed to appease a woman. more so than he was worried about his child. And then this thing with the drugs and money coming up missing, and then like being willing to either harm his child himself or sell his child to somebody. So I think there's so much more to this to be considered. Oh, this thing I talked about the cannibal thing. Anytime I get that card, I know it's I got all kinds of like cards in here. And you guys will see if you stick with this channel. Please subscribe, by the way. You're going to see the cards come out and you're going to be like, what the F is that? But trust me, when you get into these readings and you understand like the rituals with a lot of these like satanic like or like pagan like rituals, and you understand how deep and how big this human trafficking thing is, and how, you know, Americans, especially kids, are sold, and the water rituals and all that stuff. Trust me, just stick with me because I will be explaining this stuff as we go. But anyway, yeah, so this is the final spread. If there's anything else, I'll add it after this segment. Okay.